Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. Today we are once more in villain land, a Spidey villain. He's a menace and so are his villains. Today we're going to be looking at one who has been called his arch nemesis by some, and that is the Green Goblin, aka Norman Osborn. What powers does the Green Goblin have? Do you know them all? Well, there's really only one way to find out, and that is by staying tuned here on Top 10 Nerd. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 superpowers you never knew the Green Goblin had. Let's get started. Number 10. Enhanced intellect. The Green Goblin character has been around since 1964, but it's only specifically been Norman Osborn since 1966. It was a bit of a mystery. Who is the Green Goblin? When Norman Osborn was transformed by the Green Goblin serum, one of the effects was an increased intellect. Now Osborn was already intelligent, but this serum greatly boosted that, making him a genius in robotics, engineering, physics, and applied chemistry. But it also exacerbated his instabilities, driving him insane, and for a time causing a split personality. Still, Osborn grew attached to this level of intelligence, even with the downsides that came with it. Also, this is how he was able to construct so much Goblin tech. Number 9. Low-grade healing factor. Another advantage created by the Goblin formula was a regenerative healing factor. However, it is not the greatest out there. He's not immortal. You're not cutting his head off and it's growing back or he's putting it back on. He's not Deadpool. But it is still an asset. He can heal much faster than your average human, and can as a result survive some injuries that would prove lethal for an ordinary person, like say being impaled by his own glider. In the comics he was fine, in the Raimi Spider-Man verse not so much. So you just have way more vulnerabilities in the film verse, way better chance of staying alive in the comic verse. Number 8. Goblin strength. Now some of you may know about this, but others may not. Norman Osborn's strength is also increased by this formula. How strong he is can be a bit hard to calculate, but he can go toe-to-toe with Spider-Man, who allegedly has all that spider strength. Now some assume that Osborn's strength comes from his suit, but that is not the case. And of course, in comics you're not just getting strength, you're getting speed, stamina, durability, and reflexes as well. The trifecta, actually more than the trifecta. Number 7. Earth X. Norman Osborn managed to assume control of America economically. Everybody is just working for him in this universe, using his products, living the Oscorp life. In this world, mutagens have transformed the populace. And whose fault is that? Reed Richards. Osborn in this world was transformed by the Terrigen mists to actually look like the Green Goblin. His face like the mask, but people keep saying it's friendly. Is it friendly? You decide. Number 6. Goblin by night. Once more we are looking at the Infinity Wars, and hence the Infinity Warps universe. This was an event that we have discussed many times at this point on this channel. This resulted when Gamora folded the universe in the Soul Gem in on itself by using the Infinity Gauntlet, resulting in souls which were housed in that gem at that time being fused together. And one of those combinations was the Green Goblin and Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell, creating Goblin by Night. So he became Norman Russell, who was bitten by a lycanthrope, who for some reason was goblin-like. While transformed into the bloodthirsty Goblin, who of course killed Uncle Ben and Aunt May, because why not, the human part of Norman was just forced to watch. So he would use his daylight hours and wealth to become a philanthropist to try to make up for what he had done. So he was a werewolf, or goblin wolf, enhanced senses, strength, and speed. But then he accidentally passes the curse on to his son Harry, and so goes back to being a non-goblin Norman. Number 5. Earth 44145. This universe is part of the spin-off The Spider-Verse event, this one called Edge of Spider-Geddon. On this Earth, Norman Osborn is Spider-Man, and with 6 arms. Norman found a way to acquire the powers of Spider-Man. The sense, the strength, the poor personal life. This Norman was as power-hungry as the other iterations, and actually constructed a cosmic cube. And when Harry managed to destroy it, this only gave Norman access to the web of life and destiny, and hence the multiverse and the spider totems. His costume is very cool, really playing up the literal arachnid look, which would be very menacing in the dark indeed, all those extra eyes. Number 4. Red Goblin. Norman Osborn bonded with the Carnage symbiote, and because of his exposure to the Goblin serum, it created a very different bond. Indeed, he was able to control the symbiote's need to just kill indiscriminately, and eventually the symbiote would create basically a red Green Goblin outfit, but with a tail and like fire. Blech. Red Goblin would use the symbiote to create his glider and pumpkin bombs, but made of Carnage. Plus of course he had all of the shape-shifting and molecular abilities that come with being bonded to a symbiote. And some would say most importantly, he was lacking weaknesses. He was immune to the traditional weaknesses of fire and sound, but still couldn't be touched by anti-venom. This was because of the Goblin serum he had been given. Of course at this point he had been given an anti-Goblin serum, but being bonded flushed that from his system. Number 3. Ultimate Universe. Actual Goblin. Time to hop over to the 1610, the Ultimate Verse. This universe began at the start of the new millennium as a jumping on point for new readers and as a chance for characters to be revamped with new backstories. The idea was that Marvel Comics were too intimidating and they needed to make a new entry point. The Green Goblin in this universe, Norman Osborn again, would actually be responsible for creating both Peter Parker's Spider-Man and Miles Morales's. He was trying to create a super soldier serum, which when he saw the effect it had on Peter by combining with his and the spider's DNA, he thought that would have an even more desirable effect on him. But instead of making him the best he could be, like Captain America, he was instead transformed into a giant goblin. Just a monster, but with super strength and the ability to take great leaps in a single bound. But that was not all. Number 2, pyrokinetic. Again, the Ultimate Verse. This goblin would be pyrokinetic, meaning having the ability to start fires. He can throw flaming fireballs, but it's not all good. I mean, if you can call turning into a giant goblin creature good at all. Just like in the 616, this unhinges his mind and he ends up killing his wife. He also sees hallucinations everywhere. But hey, no need for tech unless you want it. Just generating your own flaming balls of doom. And finally, in at number 1, super adaptoid. Norman was transformed into a super adaptoid during his time at AIM. The adaptoids have been around in comics in one form or another for as long as Norman, since 1966. This cosmic cube-added ability allows the user to absorb powers any mutant, mutate, alien, android, or other superpowered being has by touching them. So he absorbed pretty much whatever he could, including his current Dark Avengers, Luke Cage, Vision, Red Hulk, Protector, and more. By the time he was at his peak, he was as big as the Hulk. He could withstand combined attacks from all of the Avengers, and he also had off-the-chart healing abilities, even recovering in an instant when Daisy Johnson, aka Quake, made his heart explode. The thing is, Norman couldn't control these abilities, and so when he was touched by multiple people at once, he was overwhelmed and went into a coma. In this state, he burnt out those powers and went back to his goblin level strength. So those were 10 superpowers you didn't know Green Goblin / Norman Osborn had. Did you know all of them? Let me know down below. And thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. And we'll see you again soon. Bye bye.